Hi, everybody. I hope you're dialing in for the PI Customer Town Hall meeting. Thank you for joining us today. We'll start momentarily. Just gonna wait for a few more people to sign in. Okay, we're gonna get started now, and we've got a really good presentation today, perhaps one of our most exciting announcements in recent memory. And a lot of great things are happening, and really excited to share our update today. And thank you again for joining. Now, I want to apologize in advance if we have any technical glitches. We're all still getting used to zooming around, and we're going to be doing a bunch of screen sharing today. So excuse some of the technical pauses that may occur. So onward we go. So what's new at PI? We'll cover that off in terms of some new additions to the team. We're going to talk about what's new in RF Plus, and I'm going to zero in on a few cool new features. Mohan's going to share our roadmap. We're going to highlight some new features, as I mentioned earlier. We're going to take a look at some new extensions for RF Plus, the Vision Shipping System, and our StarShip integration. And then I'm going to be pleased to announce PI University and what it means to you. It's going to help you guys deploy more quickly and stay up to speed with all the new features we're adding onto RF Plus. So fasten in, it's going to be a fun ride. So our speakers today are myself, President and CEO of Portable Intelligence. Thank you again for joining us. I'm going to be pleased to introduce Simon Thang, who just joined us as Director of Innovation and Special Projects, and he's going to be taking you through what we're done with StarShip as well as with the Vision System, which I'm going to give you more information and a little video on. And then Mohan, who you're all familiar with, he's going to talk a bit about our roadmap and what we're doing going forward. Just a little bit of a disclaimer in that we're making various indications or sharing you with roadmap, which is of course confidential, but could change depending on circumstances and need. This is our best planning to date, and we're hoping to deliver it on time. If there's any delays, we will certainly let folks know if there's changes to the roadmap. New additions to PI over the last, I guess, 5-6 months. We've been busy hiring. Baizid Haidar, who comes aboard as a QA analyst, he's taken over for Sunitha, who went on mat leave, but she'll be back in January. But given the growth of the business, Baizid's going to be staying on past that. Simon Thang, who, as I mentioned earlier, has come aboard as our Director of Innovation and Special Projects. He fills a big opportunity for us. Really exciting announcements that we're coming out with. Essie O'Malley Agbosa, who's our software support specialist, she comes on board to help with both training, installation, and support. And Mark Basili, our senior account executive, he's been added to promote the Warehouse Shark product, and we'll talk a bit about that going forward. That's our new product for subscription-based smaller visual manufacturers. We've been very busy, and over in this screen here, you'll see all the work we've done recently, both with existing customers and new customers. The new customers are highlighted in the red blocks. Existing customers are the grayed out boxes. We've been very, very busy, and thanks to your involvement and increase in use of RF+, we've actually gotten through the last 5 months pretty good. And we were on target to reach our financial goals. So, we are going to be focusing a bit today on the work we did at America, which you see at the top left, the Vision System, as well as talk a bit about the StarShip integration. So thanks again to all our new customers and existing customers for stepping up and helping us make this year actually quite good for us and be able to roll out new products and services. Want to highlight briefly on a go live that just happened a few days ago. This was sold by our partner in the Netherlands, Cortez. The company is called MPAC. They're a manufacturer of packaging machinery. They have facilities in Netherlands, UK, Singapore, and Canada. They had multiple ERPs across all their facilities. The site was standardized on Visual 908. So their upgrade or their project plan included the upgrade to Visual 9 for their Netherlands facility, and then installing Visual across all the other facilities, putting in Visual projects, and then RF Plus, the web version. We rolled out Netherlands, as I mentioned just a few days ago. UK and Canada's next. They did the Big Bang approach, which was all the modules. There was, as you can imagine, a lot of planning and testing that went into it, and a lot of effort on both sides. We did a number of customs to allow for PO receiving by vendor part code. Because they do a lot of one-off projects, custom projects, a lot of times the parts aren't going to be kept in Visual per se. So we allowed receiving by vendor part code, which when rolled into a more generic product code on the Visual side. And then, of course, to support Visual projects, we had to get more into warehouse support because each project is in fact set up in Visual as a separate warehouse. So it's a matter of doing that delineation and keeping those data points separate at the warehouse level, which you can imagine is quite the maze of data that resulted from that. The keys to this successful deployment was project management. They had a project manager representing each site. So they had a UK and they had a Canadian project managers, as well as the Netherlands project manager, and they all had a voice at the table. In fact, the receiving by vendor part code was a Canadian idea, something they were doing very successfully on their side with another ERP. We did a ton of process validation, which is step by step going through every possible transaction and exception that could occur. A lot of back-end testing to make sure it's updating Visual correctly and Visual projects properly. Of course, integration to Visual 908, all on a single database. And the important things was sharing a common vision as to what this project and deployment will look like, and flexible work schedules. I must commend our team, as well as MPAC's team and Cortez's team, is that we all have to work funny schedules because, as you know, the Netherlands is 6 hours ahead of us. And so often we were getting up at 4 a.m. in the morning to help with process validation. So kudos to both sides for persevering, and the results, or the proof is in the pudding. We've got a very successful deployment with a great opportunity to roll out to all those other countries. Now I'm going to turn this over to Mohan, who's going to go through the latest enhancements in RF Plus.
Good morning, everyone. So I hope everyone, you can see my screens here. So first I'll talk about the latest enhancement in RF Plus HTML5. So from 6.7.11 to 19, so we have many enhancement did it recently. So the first one is a multi-pack list by warehouse. The users can pick items simultaneously from 2 or 3 different warehouses with an independent pack list. Earlier, we were supporting only 1 pack list at a time. Now you can do more than 1. Then the next one is POC, or order notations and line specs. So users can see the order notations and line specs on handhelds, also in Control Center. The next one is AIAG label scanning of material moves. Now we support AIAG prefix, including the trace properties. Not only the trace properties as well. Then next one is enhanced web tracking by operations with trace. Now our web module support the trace as well. Then directed picking for issuing. So now RF Plus direct the users in a sequence, location sequence, whatever the supervisor defines, RF Plus can direct the picking sequence. The next one is a warehouse labor tracking. So the warehouse labor tracking, so Jeff is going to talk about a little bit more about that KPI. I'll leave it here. Then email alert cycle count, that also Jeff will talk about that. Those are the two good features actually. So the email alert is actually the users on the floor, if they find any inventory, low inventory, they can just trigger, so the supervisor will get the emails. The next one is where there are some enhancements we did in the wave picking in control center as well as in the handheld. SSCC case label printing is another features we introduced recently. That's actually, it's not just the case label, it's also the master case label, so can be used as a pallet label. Trace expiry warning, so now RO Plus can warn the users if the product expired. If they try to issue or try to pick, it will warn. Then the next one is XML file integration for StarShip. This is, we did it recently. In the past, we were supporting the SQL interface. Now we are supporting XML file as well. Enhanced label printing at inbound and productions. In both we are supporting, so you can choose a label when you try to print it. You can define more than one label template and choose that. And also you can define the labels by part level. The next one is generate label ticket during the production. So this is a simple label ticket generation. So the users can enter the operations, and after that the completed quantity and deviated quantity. Then system can calculate the number of hours automatically and generate the label ticket. So we have a TM Plus modules that we can start and stop, but this is a simple version. The next one is link R plus trace to FG trace property. So you can link the R plus trace to the FG trace properties. Sequencing of, this is same as the directed picking. I'll skip that here. Change location status. When you try to create a part location, so the system will prompt to set the status hold, available or unavailable. Right now it's in visuals. R plus we didn't have it, now we introduced. Then a dashboard enhancement. So Jeff is going to talk about that one. The last two are sessions management and R plus upgrade utility. Under sessions management, if some users put the handheld, went out for a break, then if you want to gain that session, so kill that sessions and use it for different users, you can do it through the control center. So in R plus Telnet, we didn't do much modification recently. So 6.8 and 6.85, those are the two versions we recently updated, but we still support, but not a big changes coming. So in 6.8.5, you can filter custom order line by warehouse. So when you log into one warehouse, you can see only those custom order lines. The second one is the web tracking changes. We did some enhancement recently, and web label changes. There's enhanced labels for the web tracking as well. In 6.8, the same thing I said in the HTML5 is part label by part ID. So you can define labels template by part. Okay, I'll move to the roadmap for R plus, the future roadmap. So Q4 2022, Q4, actually a Q3 2021. I guess there's a mistake, a typo there. So this is our roadmap. In Q4, mostly in end of January, we are going to release replenishment, dashboard, enhanced dashboard 2.2, then PO consignment support, R plus trace slide. So I have to talk about this trace slide a little bit. The trace slide is tracing support only in R plus. So in visual, you can keep the trace off. So R plus can support some trace in maybe in the inbound and outbound, or you can choose the module that you want. Then the next one is the SSRS report support. So this is the SQL server reporting service. So we are going to support it as well. The Business Central 1.0. This is another ERP integration for R plus. Simon, our new innovation director, he's going to talk about a little bit deeper. In Q1 2021, as work order labor tracking 3.0. So right now we have a software TM Plus that's a track for the work order. We created a work order labor ticket. So that module, that software we're going to merge with RO Plus. So that will be released in Q1 as well. Then dashboard 2.3, directed customer order picking. So we have 4 customer order picking modules, so we are going to support that. Cycle count scheduler, Visual 10 support. So we are going to support the Visual 10 in Q1 2021 as well. The Business Central 1.1, yeah, Simon will talk about that again. The third Q2 2021 picture display in visual documents. So R Plus can capture pictures and update in visual document, and also the visual documents can be displayed in the R Plus handhelds as well. Then dashboard 2.4, then the next one is the multi-warehouse link features. This is one of the good features one or two customers are using. So you can just, when you pick that one, even you log into one warehouse, you can pick from multiple warehouses. So it's not only just for the CO picking, it's for customer orders, inventory transfers, in all other modules as well. Kit supporting in packing. Right now we have a kit module in picking, so we are going to extend to the packing. Work order label tracking 3.1, so this is the enhancement for the 3.0. Then in Q3 is there we are going to introduce the task management. So Jeff has talked in the past. So it's a TD is a new module, so we are going to put it in the RO Plus. Then other one is web tracking 2 and labor tracking 3.2. So I'm going to pass it to Jeff. Jeff, if you want to continue.
Mohan, just stop sharing your screen, please.
Yeah, okay, so on my back, I'm just gonna put this back in screen presentation mode. Yeah, so overall, just to take a step back from that, the roadmap as well as what we've done, is that we are going to be merging TM Plus into R Plus, and that's going to start happening in Q2 of 2021. We're seeing a lot of requests from customers who want to track labor, not only just for manufacturing, but also for the warehouse, to hold them equally accountable as you do now with your folks on the manufacturing floor. And that requires that we have to set standards in terms of how long a task should take. So where we're going to be starting with is around how much time it takes to do a PO receipt, a work order issue, et cetera, et cetera. And you're going to see a movement in terms of being able to help you better plan what throughput you want to occur with your warehouse in terms of moving and transferring materials, et cetera. Warehouse Shark, as I mentioned earlier, is a niche product that we carved out of R Plus. We call it a smaller brother version of R Plus, designed for the smaller to medium size visual manufacturer under 20 million of sales. It's a subscription base. It's designed for 2 or 3 users in a typical company, and it's going to allow them to get up and running more quickly. And in support of Warehouse Shark, we're creating all sorts of videos and reference material that people can more or less do it yourself. New ERP integration that Mona has talked about for Business Central. That's a new ERP product. Actually, it was spun off from Microsoft Dynamics Navision, or NAV, and they've created this product called Business Central. And we see a fantastic opportunity to grow in that space. And certainly, we've had requests from our base as to where we're going with ERPs, and this is certainly one of the areas we're looking at. And then Smart Warehouse, which is Simon Thang's going to be talking a bit about that and his role. And it involves things that are, tracking actual people in the facility, their movements, which is a pilot project we're doing at Toyota right now. the vision system, you're going to see a bit about what we've done at Normerica and how it's contactless and it's going to support 2 transactions just by driving through a shipping door. And then AI, which is going to be all around helping you better manage your tasks in terms of being able to do prediction and dynamic task allocation. So all those are going to be trickling down and making R Plus and Shark even more usable and of value to your companies. Now, I'm going to focus on a couple of new features, which Mohan referred to earlier, warehouse labor tracking, which is the beginning of that whole warehouse tracking item. And as you can see, we track both indirect and directs. We'll be doing it against major data points like POs, work orders, shipping, picking, and packing. And you'll be able to see how your labor is distributed from a materials viewpoint over a day, a week, a month, and as well as set your custom date ranges. And of course, this will be all exportable to an Excel spreadsheet as well. So it's really exciting development, and I think it's going to allow you to get a better handle as to how your warehouse staff are working, where they're working most efficiently and they're working in the areas that you want them to be, basically. The cycle count alert function is a great function. This screen on your left is going to be available basically on every screen in RF+. You're going to be clicking the, see at the very top left, there's a couple of dots on the top right, I should say, on every screen, and you request a cycle count. And this can be done on an ad hoc basis. That doesn't matter where you are in RF+. You see something, if the material handler sees something off, then he or she can request a cycle count. Then an email gets sent to the affected person. So you see where it's circled, and an email will go to that person to do a count. And it can go to multiple people. It doesn't have to just go to one person. The next feature, which is a cool feature, I think it's a great feature, is that, as you know, we do support creating of labor tickets at finished goods receipt, but that's done en masse. That's done after finished goods has been done. It's at the end, it's almost a little too late. So what we're doing is making use of the receipt with auto reporting by resource. So basically what that means is that as you enter in your work order and you select the operation along with the lot split and sub ID and the operation code, you enter both the good quantity and the deviated quantity, which is scrap. And from that, we'll calculate how much labor time was used and create the labor ticket or trigger that within Visual. So instead of waiting for how much labor you've consumed after the job is done, this is done right during the job itself. So really exciting development, and it's all available on your RF+ screen. So you don't have to necessarily, go get a shop floor data collection system. Use this labor ticket function, give your guys on the floor access to the screen, and bingo bango, you've got labor time. Of course, this only works for auto issue, so if you have things like trace, it won't work. You'll still have to do a manual issue. And lastly, we've got a new feature, inventory adjust and adjust out. As you're aware, it can be a rather dangerous feature if it falls into the wrong hands. So for that reason, it has a control on the control center as to who has access to adjust and adjust out. And this is something you can do on the fly after a count or just on an as needed basis. And again, this is a role that is controlled through our control center. Not everybody can do it. And just bear in mind that when you do an adjust in, adjust out, it's done at standard cost. So it doesn't look at the FIFO layer. So use this feature sparingly. Just want to give you a reminder as to what are the recommended handheld devices we're looking at these days. It's always changing. It's based on customer input and what we're seeing out in the field. The MPAC went live with the Daylogic Memoir 10. It's got a terrific price point of around $1,000 or $1,000 to $1,200, depending on the configuration. It's a full tablet type handheld device with no physical keyboard. And the other three to the right, the MC3300, CK65, and MC9300, have been deployed successfully out in the field. They're your more traditional devices, but with the touch screen. And now I'm going to turn it over to Simon, who can talk a bit about our R+ extensions, as well as take you on a bit of a demo with StarShip, our StarShip integration there.
Hi everyone, this is Simon. I'm just recording this as we had some technical difficulties during the live presentation. So this is a little do-over for the purpose of sharing this video with you. So we're going to talk about R+ packing and StarShip integration and a new vision system at Normerica that's used at their shipping docks. So R+ end-to-end supply chain solution. We have our suppliers. They bring their goods, put on transport to ship to us. Gets received. Supplier sends us an ASN. We have IBTs between our own internal divisions. Product gets to production for work in process and finished product labeling. Gets into the warehouse where we're picking and packing and labeling for our outbound shipments. We get to the shipping stage and it gets to our customer, whether it's another manufacturer, distribution, or retail. So R+ is touching all points of the supply chain here, where we're receiving, where we're at production, and then picking and packing in the warehouse and shipments. So we want to be able to integrate and bring in terms of carrier management for PO tendering for freight, tracking performance for carriers, and then scheduling our shipping docks. And that's where advanced dock schedule comes into play. And we're currently in the process of integrating that system with R+ in HTML5 version. And already integrated is StarShip, where we are able to rate shop, do EDI, and prepare shipping documentation. So StarShip is a shipping module that there's a company based in Connecticut, 20 years, been around for 20 years, over 10,000 customers using it. They support all major carriers in the market with their advanced APIs. You can rate shop. There's EDI and e-commerce support for online retailers, Shopify, Amazon, so on. And it prepares all industry standard shipping documents out of the box, where you can also customize to add your logos or any specific customer requirements or internal requirements. Some of the carriers that are already set up on StarShip, all very common household names that you're probably already dealing with. And marketplaces and shopping carts for parcel shipments. We're integrated with UPS, FedEx, and so on. And there's connections for major online retailers like Shopify and Amazon. So we're going to get into a demo here with Pick, Pack, and StarShip. So we're in our control center. We're going to log in. And in the control center today, we're going to create a wave order, assign some customer orders to the wave order, and then we're going to pick and pack it. So first, we're going to create the wave order. The system automatically assigns us the next order number that's available. We're just going to make sure that it's unique, since we've been testing it here. We do a LTL shipment. You can also do truckload and parcel shipments. And we're all going to ship it to one location. So create the wave. There's our new 181 has popped up on screen there. And we're going to filter out orders that are released. We can also filter out orders with stock. And just to make sure everything's going to the same place, we're going to do a quick filter here on the ship to ID. And we're going to grab two orders just to make it a complete example. So I'm going to show you down here when we select an order at the top there, it has all the details of what's on the order at the bottom. Show this other order. So we're just going to click on the check boxes for these two orders that we want to select. And we're dragging and dropping it over on top of the wave order that we just created earlier. Those two orders have been assigned to it. Great. And now we're going to schedule it, this wave order. And I just want to show you, if you want to look up what's on the wave order, what's happened to it. We can pull it up on the wave order screen. And in the wave details, you'll see that it's all been consolidated. All the quantities have been summed up. Makes it more convenient for the guys in the warehouse to go and pick from multiple orders versus individual. I'm going to go into the handheld here. This is an outbound transaction because we're picking and packing. Go to wave picking. And all the fields on screen here, if there's a little sandwich menu, then you can touch it on the screen and pick it, or you can type it, or you can scan a barcode. So we've just picked our wave order, grabbed our first part ID. On the locations, it shows all the various locations in the warehouse and the quantities, where to go find it. We have part validation turned on, so we're going to scan our part ID and make sure that we grab the right product. And we're just going to pick a partial quantity here. And we picked it from D123. So now in the location screen, because we already went to D123, it doesn't present it as an option anymore, since presumably we grabbed everything that we could. And now we're going to walk over to arrow number 2 and pick the balance of what we need for this RJ45 part. Let's grab one more item here, widget Chrome. So this is a good example of what the HTML5 screens look like if you're still on Telnet. A lot more rich communication in terms to the user in terms of what they can see and interact with. You see a status bar down there at the bottom. It's all color coded in real time. Let's grab one more part here. There's a 1/4 inch plate. B123. We're going to validate that we picked the right product. So out in the warehouse, you'd be scanning a barcode. Okay, well, we're going to finish off this picking here. There's a couple more parts on the order, but for the quick demo, we'll finish it off here. It's confirmation that, yes, we're done. It's going to prompt you to print the paperwork, pack list, so that we know what this product is in the warehouse, should it be left for a little bit. And we're just going to go straight to packing now. We're ready to ship it. So we'll select packing here. And this wave order field here is going to show wave orders that have already been picked. They're ready to go. So we'll pick our same order, 181. The handling unit is user definable, and we can edit this. So these have already been set up. A 3 foot by 3 foot pallet. We can adjust any of the dimensions. We're going to adjust the height here, because that's the most common dimension that gets adjusted on a regular basis. The license plate automatically gets assigned. License plate 30. We're going to have our 3 items that we picked earlier. We're going to put all 100 of these 1/4 inch plates onto this pallet. Since we picked all those 1/4 inch plates, it's not available on the parts list anymore. RJ45 now. Let's just do part of it just to show a mixed pallet. And we're going to, for example purposes, we're going to close off this license plate. Say we filled up this pallet. The system's going to prompt you to print the label for it. So now you can see the license plate automatically is ready to give you another license plate, but we're going to change the handling unit here. We need a bigger pallet. Let's get a new license plate number. So it's going to show what's left to pick or start to pack. And I'm going to punch in the wrong quantity here on purpose just to show the validation that's happening. Can't overpick it. And there's only one part left, so it automatically picks it for you. And now the system's going to recognize that we've finished packing everything that's needed. It's going to confirm that, yeah, we want to close everything. We're ready to go and go to the shipping stage. So everything's been packed now for that wave order. We're going to go over to StarShip. And in StarShip, we're going to punch in our order, 181. And StarShip gets all the information that our integration has set up, bring over information from R Plus and Visual. We have our 2 pallets there, our handling units, with the items that we put on them. So we got quantities, weights. We haven't brought over boxes, but you have specific boxes. We can bring those over for dimensions as well for your parcel shipments. So it's brought over license plate information down there. Our pallet dimensions are in, our weights are in. Bill of lading shows that we have 2 pallets. It has all the NFC information there for the carrier. We can edit item level details that we brought over. And whatever's in the visual database, we can bring over into StarShip as part of the integration. At the order level, we have our customer order IDs in there. We can bring over a customer PO reference or any other field from the customer tables. On the sender records, we set up our various shipping accounts with carriers. Recipient details have been brought over by Visual, and if it's matched up in StarShip, then we'll have rate details for them as well. And in StarShip, we can shop for rates. Any charges brought up will get pushed back into Visual and paperwork. And having reviewed everything, we're ready to ship this out. We can go ahead and process the shipment. And when we're processing the shipment, StarShip automatically goes and prompts you to print all the paperwork that you need. This little message box is saying that this carrier is not set up for automatic pickup. But in the background there, our printer's going. It automatically creates a bill of lading. All the details from the shipment that we created in R+. Any edits that you've made in StarShip. The pack list. If there's specific labels, StarShip will bring that up as well. And because HSS truck hasn't been set up to get electronic tenders, it's just telling us that we need to make sure we do that so the truck shows up to pick it up. And then over in Visual, if we refresh on the shipping entry screen here, we'll see that our 2 orders have now been shipped. The 2 orders that we assigned on the wave. And that's the tracking information, the weight, bill of lading number. And we can bring over what other information that's needed for your business as part of the integration. Every business is unique. So, in 10 minutes, we just did a wave pick, created a wave order, picked and packed it and shipped it, and it closed up the shipment in Visual as well. If you have any questions, just feel free to type them in and we'll answer them at the end of the presentation here. On to our vision system, Smart Warehouse Vision System. So we presented with a problem where a customer of ours has very high volume shipments, 50 truckloads per day. And that's one facility, and there's another 3 facilities that they have. they're always shipping in full pallets, so they're not going through the warehouse and building pallets. Everything's already palletized and ready to ship in their warehouse, so there's no picking involved for them. Very high customer fines with the customers they're dealing with, major retailers. So when you ship the wrong product or the wrong quantity, not only do you lose out on that product and the order, but you also get dinged with percentage of sales fines or penalty fines. And disputing those fines has taken a life on its own, where they're now taking pictures of loads. They have to catalog all these pictures, and then when there is a dispute, someone has to go and retrieve it to present to the customer to try and fight some of these fines. And with the volume of shipments they have, it's not easy to add more forklift drivers, so we got to make sure that the drivers that are already there remain productive, and that means they stay on the forklifts versus hopping on and off to scan product. So the solution we have is an intelligent vision system that automatically captures the barcode, picks and packs it onto the shipment, all in one transaction that's seamless and the user doesn't need to interact with. It also automatically captures and indexes photos for every pallet that's put on the truck. Here's a little short video to show you how it's working. So the driver's driving the dock. That's our vision system there with 2 cameras and a monitor to provide feedback. Green means good. And the driver's just driving his normal speed as he comes onto the forklift, comes onto the trailer. And the system's been in place for about 2 months now, and some of the growing pains was dealing with ambient light changes throughout the day, whether there's an open door next door where the sun's shining through, causing glare on the labels, but we were able to overcome those issues and solve it through software and some hardware revisions. And now the driver doesn't need to hop off the forklift truck at all. He's just driving straight onto the truck. He's looking at the monitor and make sure he gets a green light. It's picked it up. So it's a huge time savings, and they now have complete control and traceability over knowing what was on the truck. They know date and time, what the order was, who the operator was that loaded the truck. And they have photo evidence of what went on. And we'll zoom in on the screen shortly here to show you what the driver sees on the screen. It's going to display that this is the customer, this is the destination, order number, and how many pallets they've loaded thus far, just to keep track. Just a little close up. And as the system picks up the barcode, it highlights the frame so that they get that feedback on there. And we're just going to show you an example of a bad scan. Shows red where this pallet doesn't belong on the shipment. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to ask, and we'll try and get back to you right after the meeting here. And if we want a more in-depth conversation, then we'll do that. Thank you.
Yeah. Good. Thank you, Simon. That was great, and testament to a lot of work and effort on Simon's part and the rest of the team to get that to work, and commending to our partner on the camera side, that's Artemis out of Colorado. This is the first time they've ever done shipping doors. They've done other sorts of products before. So it was our idea to bring this to the table and say, hey, can you do this in shipping doors? And lo and behold, we did this in a period of about 2 months. The challenges were, at least at America, were they had a label at the front of the pallet and at the side. So what we're going to be doing going forward is that we're going to dedicate a camera to the front and dedicate a camera to the side. So the lower camera you see will be brought out a bit, just so that it can have a better angle at grabbing the side barcode, and the front, the top camera will be focused, and it's not going to actually change. It's focused on the front-facing barcode. So it'll grab multiple barcodes at the same time, and that way we'll get 100% read rate. And the big win, of course, is the elimination of having to scan, particularly at the picking side and the shipping side. So we're doing 2 transactions, printing the pack list, updating visual, and then as well providing photo evidence to the customer. In this case, this is one of the big box retailers. Photo evidence to the customers that this was in fact shipped on the truck and it was not damaged, because as you can imagine, they're in a situation where they do experience fines for incorrect shipments or damaged product. And this will hopefully, and we believe, will cut down on those fines tremendously. Now we're on to the home stretch of the presentation, and apologies again today for some of the technical glitches that we're having, or we had today. It's time to consider doing an upgrade, not only just for visual, but also RF+. It's important that you consider upgrading your hardware, which is the minimum requirement, or the only requirement really, to get into the HTML5 browser version of our software. And if most of your hardware is 5 or 6 years old, then it's time to replace it with something newer. We're finding that people who are picking up the HTML5 version, be it new customers or existing, user training is as little as 1 hour. On top of that, you're taking advantage of all the great enhancements that Mohan went over. We did, just since March alone, 50+ enhancements on the HTML5 version, and more are coming out. And this is why I'm going to talk a bit about PI University coming up. And also, you don't have to upgrade all across the board to HTML5. You can use what we call mixed use environments. So stay on the Telnet side of it for things that you don't want to change immediately, but certainly take advantage of the camera function. And as you saw in the upgrades, we're now showing line spec information and order notation. So you can send information down. And very soon you're going to have pictures to show on your device. So that will help the guys do better picking. If parts are kind of tricky, or if they're in a funny location, so you can even show a picture location that says, this is where you go pick this product. Don't pick it from here. We certainly want you to get better use for our product, because our vision is not to just use our product to minimize your or make your transactions more efficient and minimize your inventory costs, but really help you turn your material handling process and your warehouse into a competitive advantage. And that means, increasing your inventory turns, which many of you have done, so that as your sales have increased, your turns have increased, such that you can keep pretty much the same size warehouse and the same amount of inventory and still support those greater sales, right? So, and again, we're adding as much value as we can to your service contracts, including a free day of upgrade support. So again, we have very limited resources. As you can see, we continue to be very busy, thanks to your input and thanks to your requests for enhancements and change requests, and as well as doing our roadmap. And so book as soon as you can, and we're going to try to make it as a situation where you can do some of it yourself, hence the launch of PI University. So we decided to do this not only for obviously our new customers, but we also want to extend it to our existing customers. And what PI University looks like is an online free courses for yourselves up to 10 hours a year. The blocks of training will be done in 2-hour segments at a time, and you can basically sign on and take advantage of it. Some of our classes at the beginning at least will be live until we get enough of a library to have them recorded, and you can just download and watch it any time. But to give you an idea is to basically, the point of PI University is to help your customers better deploy our systems. They're going to be so-called fun, if you could imagine a fun webinar. They're going to be modular based. And the whole idea is that you should be able to be up and running with the current system that you're looking at doing, whether it be a module like inventory count, or whether at least within 30 days. And you'll get a coach to help you with it and direct involvement on our side. So we'll walk you through some of the trickier things if you don't pick that up on the videos. So some of the courses that we'll be offering are things like facility prep. In other words, you've all gone through this yourselves, but still you may need to revisit that and say, you know what, how do I turn on part alias? Or how do I set up a separate warehouse? Or how do I take advantage of some of the new features in RF Plus, such as, you know, doing the labor ticket creation during production. The BRD, which is the business review documentation, we find a lot of our customers who want to get more into RF Plus, they could take advantage of this and do their own self BRD. And that's really a deeper analysis as to how your process runs and how then to take that understanding and basically set up RF Plus. And then set up all the testing and process validation that you need to do in support of the new rollout of that feature. Installation, we'll discuss about how we're coming out with new features where the product will self-install with some involvement in your part. And we now have a video that shows you that process. So certainly take advantage of it before you do any installation. And then the various modules, inbound, inventory, etc. As you saw on the roadmap, we're going to be coming up with a lot of new features. One of the ones that I'm really excited about is the cycle count scheduler. That's a feature that you'll be able to basically say, okay, we're going to do ABC counts. We're going to be doing counts by product or counts by location. I've got 3 guys. I want to do it over this period of time. And then what RF Plus would do, that module, is basically schedule those counts and create count IDs within Visual itself. So you no longer have to maintain a spreadsheet or a separate program. It's going to create those count IDs based on the resources that you've dedicated to the function itself. And then deployment. As you do, you know, training, process verification, go lives, upgrades, we'll show you how to deploy. And this is from our best practices that you've gone through yourselves as you've deployed with us. But a lot of you are going to be doing upgrades, so we're going to have a special video on how to do the upgrades and things you need to do and test in preparation for it. So as I mentioned earlier, there are 2-hour sessions. You'll get a little certificate. A lot of them we're going to make mandatory, especially for new customers. They need to view these videos before they try to attempt it themselves. It is instructor-led, so you'll see folks like Blair and Mohan and Simon leading those courses. They're online, and as I mentioned, they're free, basically up to 10 hours per year is free for each customer who's on service. So we're really excited about the changes that are coming up. PI University is going to help us and help yourselves deploy more quickly. And certainly we learned a lesson from doing deployments in Europe and even on the West Coast that, you know, people need to work within their time zones. And this is what led to the creation of PI University. It's going to launch later this year, most likely Q1 2021, as we set up the courses and the proper instructors for it, et cetera. But look for that announcement coming out shortly. And as I mentioned, we're really excited about that development. A couple of upcoming events. We're going to have the Visual User Group Canadian side, and it's going to be open to all. That's a typo. It's November the 10th, which is a Tuesday, not the 9th. My apologies. And then, of course, you may have already heard about the Visual Focus. It's going to be a face-to-face type event. Hopefully, it's going to take place in May 16th and 19th of 2021 in Nashville. So that's it for today. Let's see if there's any questions.
So we do have a couple of questions here.
Okay.
Jeff, I'm just going to unmute everyone so that they can answer. The first question is, does StarShip support FedEx or UPS?
The answer is yes. So that's one of the things that StarShip endeavors to do, is to maintain up to date with all their certification with both FedEx and UPS. And to access that, you simply would schedule your COs or your waves, and then choose FedEx, which is a parcel shipment. And as well, we'll support, in the case, I believe it's UPS, they do density calculations, so you'll be able to figure that into the calculation as well if you want to find out your rate if you're shipping by density.
Okay. Thank you, Jeff. The next question is, how does the vision system ship the parts from customer orders?
Yes, so basically it's a dual transaction. So as we pick, we also ship at the same time as soon as you get the scanning. So you're basically getting two transactions out of one basic movement. So as you would have to schedule your COs as you do now. And so that way you're scheduling each of the COs, or in this case, even a wave, to a door. So you use the function within R Plus that you would pick and ship by door, scheduled to a door. That way RF Plus knows which door you're shipping to. So then when it reads that particular pallet, it's going to do a pick against that CO and then do a ship against that CO. And then when it's completed, we'll automatically generate the pack list, or you can manually generate it if it's going to be a short shipment.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. And this is I think the last question. Are the orders shipped in visual when StarShip processes the order?
Yes, the orders are shipped in visual. That's a transaction that we will endeavor to complete. So when we get the ship notice from StarShip, we will automatically update the shipping information within visual, and you'll also see the tracking number, the bill of lading number, as well as any charges that were calculated on the StarShip step. So you'll see that pretty much in real time as it gets moved into visual there for you. Another thing we're going to be adding very shortly as well is the ability to reverse that shipment. So for example, if you're in the middle of a shipment in StarShip and the customer goes, you know what, I don't need this product, or please cancel the order, I can't take it today. You cancel the shipment in StarShip, and then what we'll do is we'll get the message from StarShip, and then we'll reverse pick everything and put everything back into inventory. In this case, we'll leave it in the shipping staging area, and then you simply need to do a transfer back into the warehouse. But basically that CO will be set back to 0 in terms of any transactions that's happened. That's coming down the pipe for the StarShip and R Plus integration.
Okay. Yeah, that's all the questions, Jeff.
Okay, great. So Comedy, I guess we're going to have a recording of this.
Yes, we do
Right.
have a recording. We will be
Right.
sending out the recording.
Perfect. And so it'll be there, and we're available as always to assist anybody with any upgrades or questions. SC, who's our new hire on the support side, take it easy on her. She's just getting up to speed, but she has the full support of the team and whatnot to help everybody. And again, thank you again for your support throughout this pandemic. And I hope everything is going well on your side, and feel free to reach out with any questions. Thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Simon and Mohan as well for today. And we look forward to chatting with everybody soon. All the best.